And welcome back, everybody who popped your culture live and in living color before your naked, steaming eyes.
I was proud of myself I didn't step on your intro this time.
That was a long one.
It was good. Nice.
I quit vaping. I can actually have lung capacity again.
Well, the diaphragm.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, it's April 1st. Well, not on the East Coast, but technically, yes, for us it is. I picked up a shift at work for somebody, and I totally forgot that it was April 1st on Saturday. So I blame myself for being this late, but hopefully, if you're not watching it live, you'll watch it later on.
And whatever. We're still on the first on our clocks.
Yeah, that's all that matters. And I was like,
may not be American Standard Time, but it's
when I
far-
first texted, I was like, I don't want to be like, let's push it back to Sunday. I was like, no, we got to do it on Saturday. It's a better day.
damn right.
So we're here, me and Muda. Of course, like and subscribe, all that shit. Share with all of your friends and confidants. And yeah.
I'd just like to also take this time to thank the universe for its timing. It's just random timing. Every time it's popped up, when I was editing the intro, how many times certain aspects of each scene lined up with the fucking beat.
Oh, I know, it's great. That
was not on purpose. Not even.
That was a solid video package. And the transitioning was perfect from the countdown to the video.
Yes.
I don't know how many people actually have ever used StreamYard, but your timing can be off and it's a little wonky sometimes.
You get that caught with
Hello, Ashley.
with your,
Thanks
with
for
your
being
pants
here.
down.
Yeah.
Sitting there making a stupid face at the camera in the middle.
I notice a lot of the ends of the lives, it'll just be me sitting there and I'm just like trying to like click end broadcast.
Which is why there is something entirely new for the end of this stream. To avoid
also, one thing that I found out, YouTube obviously it lives forever. Forever is, a state of mind, I think. But Facebook, it's there until the end of Facebook. And then but Twitter, it's only there for like a week or two and then it goes away.
Huh.
I just found that out the other day. I was like scrolling through our Twitter page and I was like, hey, where'd that video go? And it was gone.
Makes me wonder if that's one of the other benefits of paying for it.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm not paying for a fucking check mark. Sorry.
No.
I wanna earn it.
Apparently,
Usos versus Kevin and Sammy was crazy. I just saw a clip on Twitter when I was checking to see if we were live. I plan on watching. I'm gonna watch the Hall of Fame after we're done with this, and then I might watch Summer WrestleMania. Maybe.
I completely forgot that was happening.
I know I'm gonna watch tomorrow at some point. I might watch Night 2 Monday while I'm at work.
Isn't there a big Cody
and Roman, tomorrow night.
Are they the headliners?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That happened fast.
Yeah.
But that's not why we're here tonight.
No,
we're
not
here to
here.
talk about the beloved Predator franchise, as alluded to in the teasers and last episode. But both last episodes.
Where would you rank Predator on your list? This is a random question that I just thought of.
Like,
where would you rank
all time?
As far as franchises go, we're talking Alien, Predator, any horror franchise.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it
Terminator,
on horror.
Obviously. No.
I wouldn't put it on horror, but if I were making a top 5 like sci-fi ish list, it'd be in the top 5 for sure. Like 100%, like of all it's some of my top, and then probably honestly probably fucking Predator, Alien, fucking RoboCop, Terminator. They're the staples.
Yeah.
We talk.
How many films does a franchise have to have before it's a franchise in your book?
Honestly, at least
3.
Probably 3. I want to say 2, because the third movie always fucks it up. But the third movie would, in this particular instance, the third movie would qualify it for the title of franchise. And yeah, I don't know. Predator's probably top 3. We got a gap
between 2 and the next one.
Yeah, but it's not even that long, considering.
Hmm.
Like, well, maybe it
But I
was.
guess I mean, between Aliens and Alien 3, that's what, like a 10-year gap?
No,
No?
because Aliens, I think, was what 84, 85.
Was it that
Alien came
late?
out in 80, I think, right?
I think so. Maybe 79.
And
And 3 was
maybe
out in early 90s. So
right.
was Aliens that late? I thought it was like 83, 82, 83.
Well, we could always
There's this thing called the
use
internet that we're on. We're literally on it. And
86.
was Aliens?
86 was Aliens, according to
Holy
IMDb, and they're
shit.
not always right.
When was
Holy shit.
Alien?
1979.
Okay, what, 79?
So it was almost a decade.
7 years? Yeah.
And
Sigourney
oh
Weaver
shit.
aged very
All right.
well.
So you're dead on. I think a lot of the sequels to Predator that they had thought of were either production hell or
Mm-hmm.
like died on the vine.
Yeah.
Because Alien vs Predator was 2004.
Yeah.
I thought it came out earlier than that.
No,
But
it was. Yeah, because I remember. Yeah, because I was in high school when it came out.
yeah, and it's that's a big gap. But there was a lot of filler.
Because Predator 2 came out in 90.
I think so.
The first one came out in 87.
Yep.
Predator 2 came out in 90.
Yeah, 1990. So 14 years between.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, but it's we'll get in.
We're doing Alien next month, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, we somehow naturally or organically decided to do what Eric wanted us to do and work our way up to a Bill Paxton special.
I think he had a lot to do with it.
He may have, but we were supposed to do Predator and then Alien at the end of
Yeah, that was
year.
gonna be that was gonna be the end of the year, and then October
also,
happened.
Yeah.
The Halloween Twitch.
We did Halloween, and then the holidays happened.
That I thought was gonna record, that I'd set to record, and it never recorded, and
I keep forgetting about that.
Ugh.
So that was literally just it existed. It existed.
It
live,
still makes me
it.
mad. And you were like, "So is it just done?" I'm like, "No, it's not done. It's just on the back burner."
Yeah. Yeah. Then we retooled.
Yeah.
We're good to go now. We know what we're doing.
And the lives are way easier because I was editing like sometimes 6 hours of video. It was a lot.
It's tough.
And the funniest thing was there'd be like sometimes a total of like 30 seconds of a recording session that I would have to cut.
Yeah. But it's the I was texting you the entire time I was editing the Terminator intro.
Yeah.
I was up all night
just
clipping.
Yeah.
I didn't even put anything together, just clipping. And video editing is a bitch.
Yeah.
And especially once you start,
it slows everything down. Yeah. And I can't tell you how many times I've had to like save in the editing software and then click out of it, restart my computer, and then go back into it.
Yeah. Luckily I have a machine that's actually capable of it now.
Yeah.
But now I just have to remember to empty my cache on a regular basis. So that way it doesn't, when I was rendering rendering the video for this, just the preview was taking like 5 seconds a frame to render. I was like, what the fuck is going on? This computer's new.
Yeah.
And it just turned out that I was over my limit on my cache by like 15 gigabytes.
You walk out of the room, you walk in, grab your keys off the counter, and your wife's like, "Where are you going?" I'm going to buy a new computer. Yeah. That one's new. Well, I need another one.
I need a second one to support this one.
Dude, it's a total bitch to video edit. I don't wish it upon anybody. If you ever think about like getting into video editing, do something else.
I just get like I mean, the only reason that I have any luck at all is because after about 15 minutes of staring at it frame by frame, I get kind of like autistic about it.
I will say this though, I prefer video editing, like especially when I'm just when we would only do audio
Mm-hmm.
because like it's so much easier to know where you're at by watching it than just listening to it because those wavelength the waveforms they make you go crazy at a certain point, like your eyes cross and you're like, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Did you just see that I said space Bigfoot?
No, no, I just remembered to um
I just saw that.
text you. Yeah.
But so anyway, yeah. So we had that big gap, with the big gap between two and AVP, but it doesn't feel like it because of the material that we had to
Yeah, you had
consume in
video
between.
games,
Yeah,
you had the comics, all that shit.
yeah. I mean, especially when it comes to AVP, the fucking comics. That's what kept it alive. The Dark Horse comics, and then like me, I never even read the comics. It was mostly uh, it was like novelizations of it that I didn't even
Hmm.
realize were novelizations until fairly recently.
Yeah.
Um, but it just gave you more and more like Predator just content,
Yeah.
more
I remember
stories.
playing the video games as a kid and I
Yeah,
thought they were great. And
that Capcom one.
yeah, dude, I remember being like, man, it would be so cool if they did a movie. Like, cause back then we didn't have the internet. So it's like, we didn't know they were talking about it.
No, like you'd have to go to cons and stuff, and we
Yeah.
were too young for that shit. Too
Right.
young to know what was
Right.
going on. But it
I
like
wonder if Fangoria ever ran anything like, hey, they're talking about doing an Alien versus Predator movie. I know for sure.
yeah, probably. I'm sure of it. Just based on the fact that the two of them required so much practical effects. Like, there's no reason why they wouldn't. And even just with the alien skull, the xenomorph skull in Predator 2, like that had to
Yeah.
get everybody fucking just up in arms talking about it.
But yeah, I think you're right about just like it's production hell, I'm sure they had like a director sign on and then
Yeah,
they dropped out and then the script and then they got to rewrite another
and
draft, rewrite.
that was back when like the studios actually gave a shit about making money.
Yeah.
So
And
it
not just
was,
redoing everything, rebooting everything.
but it like the like if like the Predator 2 box office was um or at least its reception. Its first weekend was probably pretty good, but the reception afterwards, like people just didn't take to it being in the city. So like like critically, it did not hold up.
Well, not only
Um,
that, but Arnold not being involved, that probably
yeah,
turned a lot of people off, even though Danny Glover's fantastic.
right.
And we'll
Like
get to that in our
for
countdown,
sure.
but
But like like it's the more and more I watch it, the more and more I can't understand why. Like they flipped it, right. You had like a legitimate jungle, and then you went to the concrete jungle. Like that was the I think
it
that was
makes
the name.
sense looking
That was the
back.
name of the Predator story, Concrete
Yeah,
Jungle.
right.
That was everybody loves, and it's I don't know. Bring it here. Because what's more terrifying than a predator in a fucking jungle? A predator in a place where everybody thinks they're safe because of civilization.
Yeah, where normal people are,
Yeah,
not
and
people who are trained in combat.
but my guess is it's a lot of like the Fox executives were probably just like, we're not touching this.
Yeah.
Like, we're like this, the last one didn't do shit. Nobody cares. Nobody likes the Predator, and it's just like, you're out of your fucking gourd.
I
There's no
think a
way.
lot of it probably had to do with like home video too.
Yeah,
Because I mean, eventually, people were gonna find shit like that. They're like, I won't see it in the theater, but I'll grab it at Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or whatever.
yeah, and see, that's the thing is, I don't know how much that mentality had actually taken hold yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
Because I don't
people
feel like
still
that happened till like the late '90s.
I'd say that probably didn't start happening really until like the last 10, 12 years.
Yeah,
Like when like with the
like
advent of streaming and stuff like
yeah,
that, and I'll just be
I'll,
like, I'll
I'll
just
catch it
catch
on
it on streaming.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But even
ours probably more like, oh, we'll wait for it to come on HBO or Cinemax or whatever.
I can't wait for you. I'm gonna clip what just happened because you just froze on the worst possible face.
Was that?
You're like, like, like you just got kicked in the nuts or something. It was
Which is
beautiful.
weird because it wasn't frozen on my screen.
No,
It's
it
wild.
was.
It's like you froze earlier on mine, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
uh, but yeah. So I mean, it's a pretty important franchise for me, just like the last one.
Yeah.
Um, it was because both of these really came out at like the first real boom, first real like video rental boom,
Mm-hmm.
and then also with our local movie station, like once it hit, like I very clearly remember. I got shooed out of the room a couple of times because my old man thought I was gonna get scared
Yeah.
when when two was on of all things. Um, and yeah, but I was just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I'm staying. I'm not afraid.
Which I mean, in all honesty, like the first one when he first takes off the mask, like the helmet, you're like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" Like,
But even like it, like if a predator were to unmask in front of you, you'd be fucking terrified.
oh yeah, you would shit your fucking pants.
But watching on the screen, it was just like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. I remember the first time my kids watched it, I was kind of like, they're probably going to get scared when they see his face. But I mean, they'd also probably seen it somewhere on, the internet or something already.
Yeah,
So,
it's by this at this point, it's kind
yeah.
of impossible to
Or on a
impossible
YouTube
to
video or something.
avoid,
You
and
never know what they're watching.
they just get the predators just get tossed it around like like it's almost it is a meme in
Yeah.
its own right, like a proper like social meme.
Yeah.
You hear there's a bird here. I think it's I don't know, it might be a mockingbird or something like it, something in the smaller corvid family, but it makes this weird clicking noise. It's just like
Really?
what? Yeah,
Hmm.
it's just like fucking predators. Naturally, I can't see them because they're camouflaged. If I see three dots, I'm running.
So the first time you saw them was on Pix.
Yes, I think for both of them, honestly.
Oh, really? Okay. I
Uh,
want to say mine was probably HBO.
yeah.
Because I remember like, we had HBO as a kid and like my dad would always like put in the blank VHS and record the movies and then
Mm-hmm.
write on it. And then you'd watch it over and over and over and over. Cause like back then, I don't know if it was just me or I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of us that did it, but like once you like got attached to something, you
Mm-hmm.
would wear it out.
Oh yeah.
And like I've always been like that. I guess it's like a problem or something. It becomes like
Sounds
a habit almost. Like
sounds normal to me.
because like I remember in high school, like we would watch like Dazed and Confused every day. We would watch
Yep.
like Dumb and Dumber every day. I remember in like sixth or seventh grade, I would watch Billy Madison every night before bed.
Yeah.
It was weird. Like it's like an addiction almost. Like it's a habit forming. Movies and music and all that stuff. Like you would listen to the same albums. Like when we did the school episode and we talked about what albums we listened to in school the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would listen to the same album over and over and over. And it's just like, holy shit, man.
I'd also think that it had something to do with the scarcity.
Maybe, yeah.
Um, like
And
when
we didn't have, the means to travel, as much as we do now, where we can just I mean, you don't rent videos anymore, but you
right,
can go like I still buy records, so
right.
I can go buy a record if I want to.
But like back then, like I took. I mean, movies have always been a big one. Just be a kind of a product of being raised, growing up when I did. But so when I was able to have the autonomy
Mhm.
to like put a movie in that I wanted to watch, and then slowly but surely my movie collection would grow. Like my personal movie collection, like it was. I remember it was like right towards the end of high school. Uh, they got the parents got a DVD player for like the family room, so they unplugged the VCR. And I was like, well, if you're not gonna fucking use it, I am.
I'll take.
And then the comic book store down the road from my house, they had all the old VHS tapes for like $1 or $2,
Yeah,
and that was a price I could swing. So
right.
I would go down there and I'd find all these fucking obscure old movies that either nobody watched or nobody gave a shit about. No, the only I remembered them from pics, and yeah, and I would just watch them over and over and over again until it was. I think it was when I got my PlayStation 2 that I finally had a DVD player in my room. Then I started the DVD collection. But it was the same thing. I'd get a movie that I'd wanted to watch for a very long time, and I would just watch it on fucking repeat. Like every night before, like as I was going to bed, I'd fucking put the movie in.
It still blows my mind too about like you were saying about how nobody gave a shit about it or nobody'd seen it. The amount of movies that people like us have seen, and then like you'll be like, "Oh, have you seen this?" Or you'll quote it or something, and somebody will be like, "What's that?"
Yeah.
Or no, I've never seen that. Like people that hear about movies and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Yeah, I've never seen it," and I'm just like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like when I met my wife, she said she'd never seen The Godfather, and I was just like, "What? What? Okay, we have to change this." Um, Shit like that. Just I don't
it's a
know.
it is a constant problem.
And Predator, I put that up there. Like, I mean, I know it's not like the most popular movie. It's not, it's not Citizen Kane or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
not The Godfather, but it's still a fucking awesome movie. And like,
Goddamn right.
especially because the stature that Arnold has,
Mm-hmm.
in Hollywood and history. Like, how can you have seen all of his other movies, but you've never seen this? Or Danny Glover, like, how have you seen all the Lethal Weapon movies, but you've never seen Predator 2?
Right. And that was like right at the it was like at the peak of the
Yeah,
Lethal Weapon
it's in the
franchise.
middle of the
Right.
franchise. Yeah, because I think they had done 1 and 2 already. I want to say,
Probably.
and then 3, I think, was like mid 90s. I think,
I think
and then
it was closer to the beginning. We can look that up too.
yeah, look that up. Pull that up, Jamie.
1 was 87, 2 was 89, 3 was 92. So yeah, it was like it was right
Right in the
after
middle.
Lethal Weapon 2.
And there's 5 Lethal Weapons or 4.
Lethal Weapon 5 I think is in production.
Oh, okay. Because I remember 4 is the one with Chris Rock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that came out in theaters. I think I was in junior high. I want to say. So early 2000s.
When Lethal Weapon 4 came out?
Yeah.
I think it was the late 90s.
Is it the late 90s?
Mm, yeah. 98.
Okay. Shit. All right. So I was in middle school. Fuck it. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just I don't I'll never understand that how people just won't watch movies.
I mean, I don't know. To me, like I said, it's a product of of us coming up when we did and where we did as
Yeah.
well. I think has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Um, the idea, that especially the idea that people our age haven't seen these movies. That's the one that gets me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because like I can see like teenagers, like my older kids' ages, like them not seeing it makes sense. But like, yeah, people in their mid to late 30s, or it's like, what? Huh?
Yeah, I have a younger kid that works under me at work. He's 23, and like I'm just constantly spouting off about movies, and he's just like, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about. Like I don't not even, I can't even begin to wrap my head around what you're talking about. I've not seen this movie. I've never heard of this movie. And I'm like, that I suppose is the product of you being born in 1999.
Yeah, generational gap at that point.
Yeah.
All right, let's get down into our countdown.
You want to kick it off?
I can.
Go ahead.
Where's my notes? All right. So my what? How many are there? 2, 4, 6, 7. So number 7, I have a VP2.
Okay.
It's just too dark. You can't see anything. That's really my biggest bitch about it.
It is.
And I mean, I know for like Alien versus Predator, that like that's, I mean, Alien especially, like all those movies are, filmed kind of dark. Maybe not like 3. I think 3 is kind of bright because that's the prison.
Mm-hmm.
But like the first 2, it's like it's a little dark, but I don't know. It's just it was kind of like because Alien vs Predator, the first one, they made a shit ton of money.
Yes.
And I mean, not that 2 didn't, but it was just I don't know. It felt rushed to me in a way. It was like they just kind of they didn't really. I'm trying to think of a way to put it to not like shit completely on it, but it just like the story wasn't there
I'd
to
cop to
me.
it. I'd cop to that. It's definitely the lighting. The
Yeah.
lighting is definitely bad. It is like it just. I mean, just from the clips in the intro, you can see like most of like that. That's
Oh, I
most of
could
that stuff's
tell. I could tell.
pulled from the trailer,
Yeah.
and like every time you see anything, it's all backlit.
Yeah. And I'm not knocking. I mean, I paid to see it in the theater. I remember going to see it in the theater, and I
I saw it on
remember
Christmas Day.
it's a good time to see it. I used to love going to movies on like Thanksgiving and Christmas
Mm-hmm.
because like nobody was there.
Yep.
Um, and then I bought I bought the 2 Blu-ray with 1 and 2 on it
Mm-hmm.
for the kids because they got really into both franchises. So we have all the Predator and Alien movies on Blu-ray. And actually, my next one I bought on 4K without watching it first, and I'm pretty disappointed about it. But go ahead, you're 7.
My 7 is Prey.
I knew it.
Yeah. My reasons for that are mostly due to modern filmmaking,
Yeah,
and that's the social shit aside. Um, there there was no likable characters in that movie,
I agree.
and that includes like I kind of equate it to. Have you seen the modern or the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
No, I still haven't seen it yet.
You should watch it.
Yeah, you've
Without
told me I need to watch it,
yeah,
but
without any spoilers. Uh, about I don't know a third of the way into the movie when the slaughter begins. The first thing that I noticed was that I was rooting for Leatherface.
I feel like they kind of built it up that way too,
Like they,
just in the previews of it.
but the thing is, I don't think they intended to.
Yeah,
Maybe that was the goal of the filmmakers. I don't know. I haven't watched any kind of behind the scenes interviews or anything like that. But like all the people that are supposed to survive and you're supposed to feel something when they die, you don't. You're just like, finally, that piece of shit got what was coming to them.
yeah,
But like the only people that are even remotely likable in Prey are the old people.
yeah,
Like all the hunters, the main chick, all that stuff. Like they're just whiny bitches the whole time. And then even the predator though is a whiny bitch.
yeah,
Like the there's been a lot of people that like they're trying to they the way that they crafted the movie was to tie it in. So the gun that you get at the end of Predator 2 is the gun from Prey. And it's just dumb. Like that particularly is dumb.
I will
Especially
say you did in the video package put in the best part of the movie, and that's when the predator lifts the bear up.
yes,
That's the
even
best
though
part
that
of the
that
movie.
that bear. Okay, so there's another one.
Yeah,
That bear, that bear. I've seen better. I've seen better
the
special effects,
CGI was
CGI graphics
garbage.
than in a fucking like a PS3 game. Like it was horrendous.
Yeah.
Um, but then you've got the the rope axe. Like the rope axe one, the physics do not work. They cannot be made to work. They are there is it is nothing but movie magic, and the fact that she learns it in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Um,
That's been a big gripe of yours since the movie came out because we talked about it briefly when it came out.
yeah, like it's a cool idea, but like they didn't think about it other than like I'm gonna tie a rope so the axe comes back real quick. That was the beginning and the end of the thought process, and
Yeah, when the film is set, it would take so much longer than 3 days to figure all that shit out.
yeah, and like the retconning that the production staff around the movie did to try and explain away like so yeah, like the idea that this alien race who's capable of intergalactic travel like somewhere between whatever the 18th century and the 1980s only just discovered the blaster technology.
Hmm.
Whereas to me, it was the predator was very clearly a like he was probably arrogant. The way like the kind of the way that he carried himself throughout the movie, like
Yeah.
starting with killing a snake and shit like that. Like either he was brand fucking new, or he was arrogant, thinking that he could that he could just pop down and take shit over. Like all in all, like the concept is fantastic. Like taking like outside of modern tech, outside of modern any kind of modern society, going back in time because they've been here. Even if technically the Alien vs Predator movies aren't canon with the regular Predator franchise, they've been doing this for a while, so it makes sense to go
Yeah,
back
there's
and
always little nuggets, and usually at the end of the movies where they kind of show where they've been.
which is also another thing to the idea of the technology that the Predator used in that one was more primitive
Hmm.
because the Predator actually wants a decent hunt. Like in most cases, you would think that if a Predator went down with like a full on shoulder blaster to a more primitive society, he's probably not going to use everything he's got in his arsenal just based on the fact that there'd be no challenge.
Yeah, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a challenge
Right. So,
for them.
but either way, I think they, great concept, executed incredibly poorly. I hate like in a lot of the back end of my list is has more to do with the modern filmmaking in the last 15 years
Yeah,
or so.
the production.
It's the thought process behind it, and then in the complete abandonment of show don't tell.
So laziness.
Yeah, more or less more to me is it's treating the audience like they're retarded.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's what like the whole setup with the girl, the whole idea that it's just like, why do you want to hunt so bad? Because you all think I can't. Like I'm not a scholar in the Comanche people, but I'm pretty sure that if you're capable of hunting, you were allowed to. So it wasn't like it wasn't the big girl power moment that they thought it was. It was just
Yeah,
poor storytelling.
yeah, I see what you're saying. It was like they were trying to time it for where we are now as a
Right.
society, as opposed to
Yeah.
where it was supposed to take place.
And I think they just failed.
Yeah,
I think they could have told that story. I think they could have told that story without bashing you over the head with it. And if the people who wrote the story were good at their job, I think they would have been able to do that just fine without telling us everything before showing us.
yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, what's your six?
My number six is, like I said, the movie that I bought on 4K, which they're like $30. Before seeing it, saw the trailer, thought it looked cool. Obviously, Predator, big fan. It's The Predator, And my biggest gripe with that is the big fucking mutated predator. I think it's dumb. The story was okay. It felt, I don't know what it is about some of these movies and like storied long running franchises. Sometimes they just kind of come off cheap.
Yes.
The acting, it reminds me a lot of like Freddy versus Jason. Like we waited for that movie for so long, and then it just like you just wanted them to fight, but like anything not that fight was just kind of like lame.
It's over the course of time they become a parody of themselves as
Yeah,
opposed to a serious continuation.
right.
We keep this going because that's my number 6 as well.
Okay, great.
Um,
That works
so
out.
the production of the Predator originally was shot entirely in the daytime
Mm-hmm.
because they're fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Um, so they shot the whole movie in the daytime. They watched it and they were like, "It's too fucking bright." So they had to go back and reshoot the whole fucking thing at nighttime.
Yeah.
The big mutated predator, I don't have a problem so much with it because of it's been it seems a little rushed because we got so much predator in a more condensed time as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to between the last time we saw him in 1990 and 2004. Um, but as we get down the list and we talk more about it, but in Predators, they'd already explored the warring factions in the Predator race. You had the old school Predators that just did it. They did it the old way. Essentially the Predators from Predator 1 and 2, and in AVP 1 and 2 if you count them as canon. And then there was a split. There was one that they started to fuck with genetic mutation, genetic modification, stuff like that to make themselves better. And then those two were fighting each other, and that's where you had like the war came to Earth as opposed to like it wasn't like the Predator sent another Predator back in time to fight the other Predator from total world domination and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, it was just that war coming to Earth. So that kind of it made sense to me in the long run of the story, like how the story was being told. They're just constantly mutating predators to make them better and more deadly and stuff like that. And then you had the normal one. Um, that part didn't bother me as much. The actual execution of the mutated predator, the CGI looked like shit.
Yeah, that's my main gripe with it. It's not so much the mutation. It just looked like shit. It came
Yeah,
off like shit. And like that scene where they're like out in the streets or whatever and it like jumps on the car or whatever, it just looks like shit.
yeah.
I
And
hate it.
as far as
And I'm
the
just mad cuz I spent money on it when I should have just streamed it.
that's fair. It's one I only if I get a box set at some point in my life
Mhm.
will I have that movie physical because I just don't care.
Yeah.
The assembly of the team was I don't know contrived. And it just like it seemed like a seemed very much like a parody of the first one.
Yeah. It was just, yeah, it just came off goofy and like just kind of sloppy and you're just like, I couldn't tell if the actors couldn't act or if the script was just really bad.
I think the script was pretty bad,
Yeah.
which sucks because it was written by Shane Black, who
Right.
is the guy who made Predator 1 good, like
Yeah.
as good as it was.
Yeah.
Uh, and like he's just and back to he wrote Lethal Weapon. Like
Yeah,
the
and
dude
I
knew what he
think
was
that's
doing.
what got me was like that's what got me excited about it was like Shane Black's back, it's going to be good. And like the trailer looked pretty decent and then
Yeah,
it was just like, oh, this movie stinks.
but and then again with the modern way of storytelling, they have they're keyed into the whole special girl, special boy, whatever. Like you've got the autistic kid who was really bad at playing an autistic kid,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden he was just able to decode the predator language and figure out how to use all of their technology and shit. Like it's just dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not a very good movie.
Number five.
Number five, my number five is Prey. Like
Okay.
you said, the concept is there. It's not a bad story. It's just poor execution. And I will also say this in its defense, for a movie that was purely released on Hulu, they did a pretty good job.
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, really, the only other movies that I've watched that are like Hulu exclusives were like comedies.
Hmm.
So, I mean, for that in its defense, I will say it was decent. However, like you said, the rush job of like there should have been more training shown.
Yeah, I mean, or
Like time lapse it, even if you had like a montage, something, but like show that it's over an extended period of time, not just like, oh, I can figure this out
right
the
on
snap of my
on
fingers.
on that, it's something that is like the movies that I watch nowadays. A lot of the times, the books that I read, a lot of them are either created or take
Wait, you
place
can
in.
read?
I do. I read a lot.
What the fuck, man?
Um, but they're from the '70s.
Yeah,
It's like a lot of like pulp and stuff like that, and then like the action movies and shit. What you wind up with is they're plot driven instead of character driven, and all of your academics have hammered this home for more than half a century at this point. That the only stories worth telling are character driven. You can't just plop into this character's life and then watch this thing happen because that's not a good movie or that's not a good story. But when it comes to a story like this, it is exactly that.
yeah,
It is perfect for that. You don't need to like this chick has already got to overcome the predator. She doesn't have to fucking overcome some fucking social thing too.
yeah,
It's a fucking predator movie. All we care about is the blood and gore and the predator and the fight between the two. And it doesn't matter if they win. It doesn't matter like if it doesn't matter if the predator wins or if the good guy wins or whatever. It doesn't matter. We just want to see that arc. You know, normal life, usually involving some kind of a badass. All of a sudden predator shows up. It's a cat and mouse game between the two, and then you get to the end of it, big climax with the fight between the two, and then do they win? Do they not win? Nobody cares.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they just spent way too much time on the social side of it.
and it's specifically that it's with their attempt at character development, and I think that is I truly believe that is where
And
that
we
movie
know there's
failed
never
above.
going to be a sequel to
Right,
this.
like like the all the rest of them, even the predator, even the predator,
We say that, but
like even the predator,
yeah.
as shitty as that movie is, you just got plopped down in like these like all these characters who already had their backstories and stuff. Their backstories are alluded to over the course of the movie, but
Right.
you don't spend all this time in the beginning building them up.
Yeah.
Like you whatever in the Predator, you start with them in the jungle when he finds the gear and stuff. He finds the crashed craft, and then like that's it. He's already a special ops guy. You know, you find out about the divorces and like where he's been kind of hiding out and somewhere in Central America for however long and stuff like that. But it's all that all is revealed over the course of the movie as opposed to like up front. Like you
Right.
don't know you didn't find out that his dad was an abusive alcoholic, and then he joined the military to escape the oppressive fucking home life and shit like that. Like you just you meet a bunch of badasses and they have to fight the predator because otherwise, human race is doomed.
And what you need to know about their backstory, you find out over time.
Over time in the middle of the movie, and it's inconsequential to what's happening otherwise. I
Right.
mean, except for the fact that they have the ability, at least amongst, human to human, they have the ability to kick ass, take names and whatever.
Yeah.
And
Fair.
then so I think number that's my number 5.
My 5 was Prey. Your
right,
5
mine
was The
is Reveal.
Predator. Oh,
Oh, no, no,
okay.
no, no, no. Yeah, my five or my Predator was my number six. Um,
Okay.
AVP two is
Okay.
my five. Um, again with the concept, excellent concept, picked up right at the end of AVP one. Um, putting it in a more populated area, circa Predator two. Um, like it the obviously the lighting. We've already discussed the lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a big gripe because that is when you put the two of them together, like because even in AVP one it's dark because
Mm-hmm.
they're just in a
Well,
fucking
it naturally makes sense for it to be dark, but 2 is just
super
too
dark. It's
dark.
too dark. You can't see anything. Like and it's the thing about it is it's almost like too realistic
Mm-hmm.
in the way that like if you were out there and like all you had was street lights to light everything, uh, that's how you would view all this this happening. And I don't know if they did it to disguise um
That the
like
movie was
disguise like
bad.
shitty FX or whatever.
Yeah.
But like one of the biggest thing is when he's walking down the maternity ward and just exploding all of the pregnant women's bellies.
Yeah.
Like, because I think if that was I don't know, like they didn't show enough for us to infer that there was a reason behind that. Like I can posit that the predator just saw all these things growing in stomachs and decided to kill it all. But they did not they didn't do anything to let us know that that's why that was happening. So it was very strange. Um, I think some people took it as it was like some kind of magic, like predator magic, that they could just explode like pregnant stomachs. But I'm pretty sure it had some. It was a device of some sort. Um, but the idea of a predator alien, I'm pretty sure that was something that was touched on in the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like what's worse than a predator? Like the xenomorphs are they're like the most plentiful, but like a very difficult kill for the predator. So what's worse than a regular predator or a regular xenomorph is a combination of the two.
Right. A
Um,
Perdalian.
yeah. So like yeah, great concept, some pretty cool shots, great kills,
Yeah.
new gear, right? Because that's one of the things that like you cannot have a monster that that relies so heavily on technology not come out with new gear. So like
Right. It's got to evolve. Yeah.
right, so he's got the whip and shit like that. Like he's got his the the throwing blade is like the one in AVP one is
Mm-hmm.
really big, and then this one is like fucking crazy, like, So I think it was yeah, whoever was the lighting guy did not do that movie any favors, and yeah, I
I
think
don't think they had one.
they could have they certainly could have polished the story
Yeah.
a lot more.
Like I said, it just felt rushed.
Yeah, and it
The
but it
concept was awesome from one going into Requiem.
it was also really cool to see. It was really cool to see the xenomorphs in like the deep forest, like like in that fucking Colorado mountain town.
Yeah.
Like it was a strange setting to put them, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, after like I've watched it a few times. Like I watched all of them except for that one. Within the last 3 months. That one I was just like, I don't have time for this.
You keep putting it off. You're like, I'll watch it eventually, but
I've seen it enough.
yeah.
It's like I watched Prey twice. Like I watched it the first time, and then I watched it again to see if I missed anything.
And you didn't.
But I didn't. No. Yeah, and then same thing with AVP two. Like I've seen it enough times, and like I remember the good parts. I remember the bad parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Predators. I like that they go back to the jungle. Uh, that's about it, honestly. I I don't know. I don't know if it was the cast or what, but it just didn't click. It just felt off to me. I don't know. This I mean I like the story. I like this like the setting, the story, the concept, all that. Just the cast just I don't know. I don't know if it's Adrian Brody's face that I don't I just don't like or
It's a
what it
very
is.
unlikable face.
It's so unlikable. And I mean, he's a competent actor, but he's not good.
He's no Arnold.
No, that's that's the one thing throughout this entire franchise. Like nobody's gonna live up to Arnold.
No, and it's so the thing about like Adrian Brody, they they'd already they'd already stepped away from the muscle guy.
Yeah,
That happened what fucking almost 20 years before that movie came
right.
out. Literally 20 years before that movie
Hmm.
came out, with Danny Glover being the head honcho in number two.
Yeah,
So they brought it down to reality a little bit with the casting of Brody as the guy who's going to take charge and ultimately win. And he got in really good shape for the movie. Like he was probably more jacked than he's ever been.
yeah,
But it was still, I mean, still Adrian Brody.
yeah,
Like I seen that motherfucker in like watching him in Summer of Sam,
yeah,
and then 15
yeah.
years later he's the guy who takes down the predator or whatever. It's
Like I
very
said, I
daunting.
mean, my list before, like going down, like it's better than those movies, but it's still just it just doesn't do it for me.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's just I lean too much towards the first two because of the time period and that's what it was and that's what I grew up with, or if it's just that I just didn't like the cast.
Hmm.
But I think it's I just didn't like the cast. Because other franchises I can watch movies and even if original person's not in it, I can still enjoy it. So,
No,
I don't know.
I think it very much has to do with the time between.
Yeah.
Then even though, just like we mentioned before, we've had a lot of Predator, in a very short amount of time compared to the amount of time between two of the installments. Um, and it's the expectations are a lot higher than they probably ought to be. But even then, they still come in so far below that even if the expectations are low, a lot of them will miss. But I'll talk more about that when I get to Predators.
Yeah.
My next is um, it's Alien versus Predator, but only by by a nose. I loved Alien versus Predator.
I promise I'm doing show stuff. I'm making sure we're still like it's not freezing on the YouTube feed.
Yeah, I've got it up too. I haven't noticed anything crazy.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so Alien versus Predator is a movie I was waiting for a very long time.
Mhm.
Um,
And by the
the
way, this is my 3, so we can
okay,
just continue.
so the because of the xenomorph skull at the end of two, because of all of the Alien versus Predator media that we had, comic books, um, video games, all of that stuff. So it was a movie that I was looking forward to, like very just like adamantly. But I felt like they fell so fucking short
Yeah.
because of all like, and it's kind of the same thing with like how like when Disney bought Star Wars and then they obliterated the extended universe. So they had all of these stories that were licensed.
amazing, dude.
They were
Those some of those fan not fan books, but because they're not canon anymore.
right,
Like some of
but
those were
but they
fucking awesome.
but they were for a
Yeah,
really long time,
yeah.
and they were all licensed. Every single one of
Hmm.
them was approved by
And we have a
George
Star Wars
Lucas.
encyclopedia that goes
Yeah.
through all the characters, and they're all in it.
So you had all of this rich history of written, like never visual, written, like written stories that they could have drawn from, and now they just use it as like a, like they pick what they want and they fuck that up. But
Yeah.
like, so what happened with Alien versus Predator is after a very successful comic book run and their subsequent novelizations, they had honestly not that difficult a story to tell.
No, and the first comic came out in '89.
Yeah. So the first Alien vs Predator arc, I think it's Machiko Noguchi. I think the not the Machiko Noguchi series or whatever, which told the story of a lady who was installed on some like off-world colony, like a mining colony and stuff like that. And then then the aliens, the xenomorphs get out, and the predators come to clean it up. Uh, and this like the story is not huge, like as far as the scope of the
Yeah.
story, it's not huge, right? They could have fucking I guarantee you they could have done 98% of this on a backlot, and they wouldn't have had to build a temple and stuff like that and tell this whole weird story of like the predators teaching humans how to build pyramids, and then the pyramids were ultimately a uh, training ground for predators, which was a cool story.
Hmm.
But because of the amount of time and energy that I had invested in the already existing stories, like I was just like, why'd you do this? Like, why did you do this? And what it turns out, what it always winds up being is they didn't want to pay the writers of the original stories to they didn't want to like pay them royalties for using their storyline, which is bullshit because they're gonna make you millions of fucking dollars,
Yeah.
and just because you don't want to pay another person, go fuck yourself. Uh, and that's my biggest gripe because there's a lot of cool shit. There's a lot of cool shit in AVP1. Like you got if you first, this is the first time you get multiple predators. Well, like doing anything,
Right. Yeah.
because obviously you
Because
never
in two,
do in
you
two.
get them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is the first time you see them doing anything. You get a little idea. You get a little hint of the personality of the individual
Hmm.
predators, stuff like that. Like the stuff that we hadn't really seen. We were only able to speculate from the end of Predator 2. And so yeah, tons and tons of cool shit. Just I think
Hello,
they
Tim.
old Timmy boy. Yeah, I just think I think they could have done better, and I think they would have done better if they'd have just even if they just pulled more from
The actual stories.
that story. Even if they just like even if they pulled a Disney and they just fucking picked and choose or picked and chose some of the stuff that like the 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 true fans of Alien vs Predator had, you know, like I don't know, internalized, you know.
Yeah, they already consumed those stories, so they want to see it visually on the screen. I'm with you. I will say this though: the end of AVP1,
Mm-hmm.
so fucking cool.
Oh yeah, visually it
And
was
that's
insane.
what got you excited for the second one because you knew there had to be a sequel
Yeah,
because the yeah. I don't. I mean, I could give it away because it's been long enough, but watch it. It's badass.
yeah.
It's
So
badass visually to see it happen.
so what is your four?
That was my.
Or that was your fourth.
That
That was
was
your
my
fourth.
third.
Right. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
We went from my
yeah,
four to your three.
yeah, yeah.
but I just rambled on, so you can.
No, I'm good. Yeah.
All right, so my three is Predators.
Okay.
Uh, like I was saying before, the expansion of the universe. I think that is what it did more than anything. Um, and and um, the second book in the Alien vs Predator trilogy, the Machiko Noguchi trilogy, is called Hunter's Planet, where they wind up on a planet that was designed for hunting, even though it was not. It was a human planet, human occupied planet that just brought in and genetically modified uh, xenomorphs and big fucking monstrous aliens and shit like that uh, for big game hunting for humans. So they kind of spun that to make a whole predator hunting planet, like a even like a bigger than the temple hunting ground for because I don't they never really got into whether or not it was like a training exercise for the predators or anything like that, or if it was just a hunting preserve. Um, but that was when you had your first look at the warring factions. So you had that weird the one predator that just looked funky because he was one of the genetically modified ones. They had a more like feline, sleek, reptilian kind of look to them. They're the ones that use the dogs. And then you had your standard Yautja. Um, and the idea of dropping just seasoned killers onto the planet was, like it was kind of, you picked up on it pretty quick, right? You had your Adrian Brody, you had your, the, uh, the Latin chick who, I don't know, I think she's fighting, like, rebel fighting cartels or something. Then you had a cartel guy, fucking, Russian special forces, fucking serial murderer Walton Goggins, the Yakuza guy, and all that. Like it was just an interesting cast of characters that I think they did better than in The Predator.
Yeah.
Like as far as just random people being brought together, it definitely threw me for a loop. Like I thought, and I think he played it well enough. Topher Grace, he played it well enough, like he was not supposed to be there. I think the biggest problem with the casting of him was the fact that uh, he, I mean, he's still Eric Foreman.
Right.
Like that was, I think that was the biggest thing going against him. And then even when he pulled the scalpel out of his pocket to fuck with that flower, you're kind of like, it. He explains that he's a dentist, but like even that, it's just like, why the motherfucker got a scalpel in his pocket? Like, I don't know. They did it well enough, and I was engrossed in the movie around him enough to completely miss the fact that it was him until he gives the lady a nick on the neck and allows her to be, or renders her paralyzed from the toxin in the plant.
Yeah.
Like all in all, and then Adrian Brody, punchable face.
Very punchable face.
Again, one more time, storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
They fucking told you everything. They did not let you figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck does Adrian Brody know he's on a hunting preserve? He doesn't, but he tells you anyway. And it's treating it. Few things annoy me more than when a movie treats the audience like they're fucking retarded. Like they can't figure it out for themselves, even though we've been doing it for 100 goddamn years prior to that movie.
That's the best feeling when you figure something out in a movie.
Yeah,
You're like, oh, I got it. Now
yeah,
I know where this is going. That's the
and
best feeling.
so primarily the reason this is ahead of AVP is they were, even if they pulled a little bit from the novels, they attempted to tell a different story that was reminiscent of the first story,
Mm-hmm.
whilst also advancing the lore. uh, in the non AVP canon. So I think it was. I remember I hated the shit out of it when I first saw it because it wasn't mainly because it wasn't Predator 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But after multiple viewings, I was just like, this is a
Maybe I
lot
need
better
to
than I thought it
watch
was
it
going to be.
again. Maybe I just need to watch it again. I haven't watched it in a while, but
Give
I
it a
don't
shot.
know.
Give it another shot.
All
Like
right.
it's
I
definitely
will.
like it's I'd say very much so. It is better than its reception.
Yeah. I think our 2 and 1 are going to line up,
Probably.
and we need to, like, kind of go through it pretty quick because I'm getting yelled at
That's
via
fine.
text
That makes
message.
sense.
Number two.
Is number two.
It's number two.
Yeah.
Um, Danny Glover, I think, is awesome in it. I think, honestly, out of all of the franchises that I have grown to love throughout my lifetime, I think Predator 2 is the most underrated sequel of all franchises. Um, if you get past the fact that Arnold Schwarzenegger is not in it, it's an amazing story. It's an amazing movie. It's everybody, the whole entire cast is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It was so well put together. Um, like you said earlier, just the idea of the Predator being landing in the middle of a city, of a metropolitan area,
Mm-hmm.
is fucking, it's terrifying
Yeah.
because he could, like, literally just pick and choose who he wants. Obviously there's the challenge
Right.
factor, which is why they're trained to do, that's their job.
Right.
But I mean, I can't think of another sequel in a franchise that's more underrated than this one.
Yeah.
Maybe a Nightmare on Elm Street 2, just because everybody hates it so much. And I understand, like, I get why people don't like it, but I also think that if people watched it again as adults, maybe they wouldn't hate it so much.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the same with this. It's just, I think it's, I don't want to say I think it's petty to not like it just because Arnold's not in it, but I think it's just kind of a crime against yourself to not enjoy this movie.
I would agree. And like the thing that bothers me the most about that is like there was no there was no implication that Arnold was going to be involved.
Right.
Like even at the end of the first one, like he gets out and stuff like that, but like there's no indication that he is going to carry this thing forward. Um, and putting the Predator in a city, why the fuck would he? Like the man is clearly a jungle warfare expert, and considering prior to '87, the majority of American combat took place in a fucking jungle.
Yeah.
Like going back to the Korean War, like that's all we'd done. We hadn't done any desert combat. We hadn't done any urban combat or anything like that. So why the fuck would Arnold Schwarzenegger, other than his expertise fighting the Predator, why would he be anywhere near that fucking movie?
Right. Yeah. It makes total sense that he's not in it.
And then, like you said, you had fucking so you got Glover, who's a fucking just a king in this movie. You
Hmm.
got Bill Paxton playing himself, doing a
Yeah.
fucking fantastic
Doing what
job.
he does.
I never remember her name. I never look it up, but the girl that's in Running Man.
Yeah.
So you got
Yeah.
a little bit. You got multiple Arnold connections
Yeah.
between her and Glover, or no, I'm sorry, not Glover. Paxton, um, Gary Busey
Yeah.
playing prime fucking insane Gary Busey.
Whose
Uh,
son is later on in The Predator.
yep. Uh, that was definitely a smart move
Yeah.
on the Predator on Shane Black's part doing the Predator. Uh, but it like yeah, ultimately you like we were saying before, you got a tech heavy enemy. You got to see new gadgets, and he's got them. You got
Hmm.
the fucking the because that was the introduction of the disc,
Yeah.
the net. Like you got a bunch of new toys. You got a bunch of new toys for the Predator. The idea, I mean, everything about it. You know, kind of even the weird like film noir atmosphere that LA had taken on. Like, I really wish that did happen. I really wish by 1997, and I know swing music came back for a minute, but I really wish everybody was like running around and fucking like dressed like they were in a Humphrey Bogart movie.
Yeah.
Like the yeah, aesthetically the movie's fantastic. Everybody's fucking sweating their balls off. Fucking the Predator's killing everybody in cool new ways. Um, and then you got as is expected of a sequel, especially back in the '80s. You had a lot more comic relief. Like it wasn't, but it wasn't cartoony.
Yeah, it wasn't like slapstick comedy. It was smart comedy.
Yeah, got a more in depth Predator first aid scene. Like yeah, the movie's fantastic. It really is. And then the new him being able to switch the vision, so it's not just heat vision. Gives you
Yeah.
it lets you know that it's the mask that allowed him to see that way. Like even though like when the mask comes off, you do see predator vision. It's a little more muted.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a fantastic movie, entirely serviceable. It doesn't deserve any of the fucking hate that it gets, and like especially considering what comes later. Like every movie that's come after Predator 2 should have kicked Predator 2 up on everybody's list.
Yeah. I think it has started because like a lot of like the YouTube videos of, that people that like rank stuff or just like uh what's that one? It's like Good Bad Flicks or whatever
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube. I love that channel. I think he did it and it was like kind of like, kind of what we have been saying is like looking back now, it's like, holy shit, this movie is so good. But I remember even the first time I saw it young, I thought it was a badass movie.
Yeah, I mean it was like as a kid, all you wanted was more Predator, and
Yeah.
you got more Predator because you already
Yeah.
knew what he looked like.
Right.
You can't suspend like the suspense. It doesn't work
They
anymore.
know why people are coming
Yeah,
to the theater or renting that video to see it or tuning in on TV.
yeah, fantastic flick, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'll die on that hill.
I'm with you. And number 1 is the OG.
Yeah,
And had the original not been so good, I mean, probably not only would we have not have got a second one, but had the original not been so good, the second one would be better.
mm-hmm.
But you got Arnie, you got Jesse the Body Ventura, who was fantastic in it.
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers, um, that opening, not technically the opening scene, but when Carl Weathers and Arnold, meet up and they do the fucking slap hands together and they
Yeah,
show their biceps flex.
yeah.
So 80s. But
It's
I can't tell you, I used to work with a guy at my old job, and literally every shift we worked together,
yeah.
that's how we.
That's still how I greet some people.
Yeah, it's so great, and just the one-liners in it. I mean, it's quotable. If your soundboard was up and running, we'd have a couple.
Yeah,
Um, maybe one that we couldn't play. But yeah, I mean, I ain't got time to bleed.
yeah.
That
It was
get to the chopper. Everybody says that all the fucking time.
quintessential '80s action.
Yeah,
It's a bunch of sweaty, muscly guys that fucking shooting guns
yeah.
in the jungle.
But in the end of it though, it's like it's not really muscle. Arnold has to beat him with his mind,
Right.
which is so smart.
Yeah.
Getting down in the mud and like under the log and all that shit.
And that's to his credit, that was something that like the after especially after like Conan and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
Arnold was a lot more. He pushed, because as just about everybody knows now, except for where
It's definitely no Hercules in New York. That's
right,
for sure.
except for where banging your maid comes into play. But Arnold's a pretty smart guy.
He is.
Uh, so he had pushed for his characters to not just be enormously strong, but
Yeah.
also intelligent. And that's what it was. They had to figure it out, and that's
It's
what.
like even in Twins, he's funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I love that movie.
And
There we
it's
go.
just it's yeah. There's really not
Tim
too
coming in the
much.
chat.
Yeah.
Chat. Get to
Every
the
direction.
job,
Dylan,
Dylan, you
Billy,
son of a bitch.
Billy. Yeah, like there's not a whole lot you can say about the first one
No, it's
because it
just
is
great. If you've never seen it, one, you're not watching this, and two, watch it again because
yeah
it's fantastic.
for sure because
It's a movie that I could watch all the time and not get sick of.
yep, it's a fantastic flick.
All
But
right.
yeah, that's
On
about
that
all I
note,
got.
I gotta go eat. It's late. I've been up way too long today,
All right then.
and another day of baseball tomorrow.
Yes, indeed.
Speaking of baseball, next Saturday,
Oh yeah,
premiering on the Heels and Quads Media YouTube channel, is our new sports show,
riding the pine.
Riding the Pine. It'll be me, Muda. I think Eric will be joining us.
It'll be a rotating cast of characters
Uncle Dan will be on for the first time. Excited for everybody to see him on Heels and Quads.
commentating on all our favorite sports, just like a bunch of old dudes sitting in rocking chairs on a front porch.
So subscribe, like, all that stuff. Leave comments. Get that algorithm going.
Yep. And don't forget to go to patreon.com/heels and quads.
Yeah. And for merch,
Go to mudamerch.com, MUDAMERCH. It's in the ticker on the bottom right now. We got a bunch of old episode themed uh, shirts and then some plain ones. But yeah, if you
yeah,
want to,
and go subscribe to Who Popped Your Culture on YouTube too, because if we can get this thing rolling over here, it'll move back over to that, and we'll just take everything we've done here and just put it back on there.
yes, indeed.
All right, we will see you. I guess in a couple of weeks we'll do a follow up kind of hangout thing, and then
Yep.
May 1st we will be Alien franchise. All right, hit them with your outro there, Muda.
Radio. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.
Bye.